Hey friends, Sean from Draft Therapy here, and on today's review for you, let's go north of the border for a change. All in Mountie's Hand is a 10.15% Imperial Milk Stout from Loaded Dice Brewery in Troy, Michigan. Mountie's Hand is the latest in Loaded Dice's all-in series of milk stouts, following Devil's Hand, which was made with Devil's Food Cake, Angel's Hand, made with, you guessed it, Angel's Food Cake, and Pocket Cowboys, just to name a few. Mountie's Hand is that same Imperial Milk Stout base, but brewed with maple syrup, waffle, crisp cereal, donut holes, and vanilla. Now, I have a feeling this is probably going to be a pretty sweet one, so let's get a look at the label. We'll get it into a glass, but first I'd like to thank my executive producers, Brian Kramer, David Jeffries, Vinny Cant, and Cam Freeman for helping to bring this review to you today. If you'd like to become a producer, help out the channel, or maybe just throw me a couple bucks to buy me a beer, take a look at my Patreon at patreon.drafttherapy.com, where you can get early access to these videos and a few other special perks that are available only to patrons. Let's take a look at the label. If we look at it, it's got a nice glossy label. It has looks like a Mountie dressed up, has the hat, has the jacket, has some little dice on for the lapels, but it has a horse's head. The horse is pouring with the human's hand out of the bottle. It looks like into a mound of chips here. It says all in with a spade in the middle there. And underneath that, it says Mountie's Hand Milk Stout Series. If we turn it, has lots of trees in the background. I wanted to mention that. It's a really cool looking label. It really captures the whole kind of Canadian spirit, or the up north spirit. The Mountie is holding 2 maple leaf cards in his hand. If we turn around to the back, it says proudly brewed in Troy, Michigan. You can find out all the social information from Untappd to Facebook to Instagram at Loaded Dice Brewery. It has the Loaded Dice logo. It has a little map, which is kind of cool. 1725 Rochester Road, letting you know where the brewery is. Underneath that, it says made with maple syrup, waffle cereal, donut holes, and vanilla. The ABV is 10.15%, as I mentioned in the intro. The IBU is 42. Now, I feel like Loaded Dice, knowing Jeff, the brewer, the owner of Loaded Dice, I feel like the 10.15% is kind of, there's some kind of hidden meaning in there, but I could be reading way too much into that. So I'm going to pour this into my Bell's snifter style glass here. Let's go ahead and crack this and put a nose on it. I'm looking forward to trying this out. And just to mention, Jeff at Loaded Dice did provide this beer to me in exchange for a fair and honest review. I'm all about constructive criticism, so I'm going to be giving that on this review here. Opening it, I'm getting just a really faint maple aroma. Other than that, it just kind of smells like a stout. Of course, that's just out of the can, of course. Maybe a little bit of cinnamon in there too. Let's go ahead and pour it. It's coming out a little bit lighter than I would expect to see from a milk stout. Sorry about that. We're gonna let it pour down there. Maybe get a little sneak a little bit in the top there, and I'm getting about a finger of head. It is a bit of a compact head. It's a little bit of just a very off-white, maybe just a little bit shading towards tan. It's not really a dark colored head. I was kind of expecting maybe a little bit of a darker head on this. If we hold it up to the light here, it's very dark, very opaque. There is a light kind of dusky brown across the bulb of the bottom of this glass here. Let's put a nose on it though. I'm getting a little bit of a maple vibe to it. Not a really strong maple syrup vibe. Maybe a little bit of a cinnamon. I was kind of maybe expecting a little bit more maple, as this is like, Mountie's Hand. It's more of like a maple syrup is like the headliner on this beer. But it does have a nice aroma to it. Let's go ahead and try it out. Cheers. We always start with the mouthfeel. It has a little bit of a lighter mouthfeel again than I would expect from a stout. Especially, I don't know, they could go either way. Sometimes with milk stouts, they can be a little bit heavier, but this one feels like it's really just kind of really hard in that, just almost nailed down to that medium category. It's not super light. It's not super heavy. It doesn't have a syrupy, mouthfeel to it. It's not a thick mouthfeel, but it's just kind of like straight down the line, medium mouthfeel. Not really anything to write home about, but it's just kind of right in the middle there. Now the flavor, I almost had a hard time not talking about the flavor when I was talking about the mouthfeel. While I don't get a lot of the maple flavor on the nose, there is a strong maple flavor in the beer. Now at the beginning, it's a nice kind of smooth maple. It's not overpoweringly maple syrup. You get a lot of those kind of stouty characteristics. You get kind of that roasted, roasted barley kind of flavor in there. You're getting a bit of a sweet aftertaste on a little bit. But the one thing about the aftertaste I wanted to mention, which I don't know if I've picked up on any kind of maple syrup kind of stout, is on the aftertaste, the maple just keeps going. Like it comes at the beginning, it it settles in, you get that more of that stouty kind of taste, you're getting those roasty characteristics like I mentioned, that roasted kind of barley flavor, and then afterwards on the swallow, there's a bit of a sweetness that comes through there, of course, that I'm just kind of glossing over because I want to get to the finish. And the finish, like I said, is that really there's just a subtle maple syrup, like straight up out of the bottle, like, I don't know, Aunt Jemima, like just straight up maple syrup flavor that just continues. It has this long tail of a finish, and it's maple syrup, like that whole finish. So it's really, really interesting, very unique. I don't think I've ever had a maple syrup style stout that has that much of a maple like finish to it. Like a carry through is entirely maple, and it's really just kind of wild. I am getting, like I said, there is that sweetness in there, and I think that it's really very much maple. Now it almost comes through almost like one note. Like if you don't like maple syrup, if you don't like maple syrup in your beer, this might not be a beer for you because like I said, that maple is just so strong in there. It's like you get it at the beginning, you're getting that swallow, you're getting a little bit of those roasty characteristics, you're getting a lot of that sweetness on the finish. But again, as I mentioned, and I'm again just like it's throwing me off how crazy it is. That tail is just like maple syrup, and that's all I can think of when drinking this. I'm not really picking up on any kind of the waffle crisp, the waffle cereal kind of vibe that they're going for. I'm not really getting or picking up on the donut hole kind of piece of it, or like if that's supposed to be more of like a bready kind of thickening thing for the flavor, because the mouthfeel really isn't, like I said, it's not really that thick. I'm not getting like maybe even a powdery, a sugary kind of flavor. It's just maple syrup, like up in your face maple syrup. A lot of people love that. A lot of people don't. So if you're not into maple syrup, this is not one really to check out. But I think if you don't have an issue with maple syrup, if it's something that you really enjoy, if you really enjoy it, this is a definite must go out, must go pick up, must go, to Loaded Dice and try it out. But it's very much a maple style beer and a little bit more than I was expecting reading the different, the ingredients that they list on here made with maple syrup, waffle cereal, donut holes, and vanilla. And I'm getting the vanilla, obviously, that kind of goes hand in hand with the maple syrup. But it is a very strong maple syrup, maple kind of beer. Again, the roasty characteristic comes through. It kind of saves the day. It pulls the sweet maple syrup kind of flavor, kind of absorbs a little bit of that. It kind of is like it's a shield for your tongue basically over that maple syrup, but you're getting a lot of maple syrup on the front. Even with that kind of those roasty flavors in there, you're getting a big maple syrup finish. So if you're not a maple syrup fan or a maple fan, I would probably avoid this. But if you are someone that enjoys maple syrup, or you drown your pancakes or your waffles in maple syrup, and that's something that you'd love to go for, this is a maple syrup lover's kind of dream. But regardless, you kind of got to go into that knowing what you're going to get. If you're big into maple, you'll love this one. If you're not, maybe you'd want to step away. All right, friends, that has been Mountie's Hand from Loaded Dice Brewery in Troy, Michigan. If you're in the area, keep an eye out for Loaded Dice's Facebook, their Instagram pages. They do updates when they do these can releases. They generally do them about once a month, so you can probably expect to see some can releases about once a month. They have Dank Vegas coming out soon, which is one that I really enjoyed from last year. It's coming out on April 20th. So have you had this beer? Do you have a favorite style of stout? Let me know in the comments down below while you're down there. If you like beer, you might want to subscribe and click that bell. I'm here talking about beer twice a week, Tuesdays and Thursdays, all around the state of Michigan. It's all for free for viewers just like you, sometimes even out of the state of Michigan. And you might miss your newest favorite if you're not subscribed and you get those notifications. So until next time, I'm Sean from Draft Therapy. Thanks for stopping by. Remember, drink craft beer, support your local breweries. These guys are in Troy, Michigan. And until next time, don't forget to treat yourself to a little draft therapy. Thanks for stopping by, everybody. See you next time. Cheers.